Hey, what is going on? Somebody said we had a live stream, and I said, what? There's a live stream going on, and we're going to be talking about the SEC versus Ripple again. What in the world is going on? Then I realized I have a blue shirt on, and it's blowing out like it's bright white and all shiny and getting all crazy. That's what happens when you're streaming in 1080p, apparently. So we have great things to be talking about. We're going to be talking again about the SEC versus Ripple. We're going to get in and look at some of the FUD that's going on in the media space and so much more. So you guys got to just brace yourselves, hang in there, because I think, if everything goes as planned, we are about to kick this thing off right about now. All right, check that out. And we're back. We rolled that right away. Thought it would be a good thing to do. So, SEC versus Ripple. Ripple versus SEC. All sorts of crazy things going on. We've been spending the past week talking about nothing other than the SEC versus Ripple and how that's going to impact your investment in XRP. How does that impact your investment in the digital asset space in general? And actually, we had Chip streaming earlier today, and I think he did a phenomenal job and has been doing a phenomenal job breaking down the case SEC against Ripple. And actually, we're going to get in a little bit because last night or yesterday or today, whatever, Ripple actually issued a statement and they're going to have a rebuttal to the case. They have 20 days to respond to the case. So we're looking at probably 15th, 16th, 17th, maybe 18th of January, somewhere around there. We're going to have an official response from Ripple as to this SEC case. But for right now, I think it's really important as we get into it because we're going to look at the response from Ripple to the SEC at this moment in time. Tomorrow, we're going to get even further into it because there's new information constantly being dropped on the docket that has to do with this case. And we want to keep staying current as things change, as things kind of adjust. So anyhow, one of the key points though that I really that kind of drew me in over the past couple days or so, has to do with the amount of FUD that is being spread in this space as it pertains to Ripple, as it pertains to XRP. And we're going to look at that as well because there are multiple websites that have gone into it, news sources. Look, Investopedia. I like looking at Investopedia because a lot of times they have great information when you're trying to find some details on, whatever it is that you might be trying to get some information on, a definition on something. So they had an article here about XRP. We're going to look at that. Gizmodo actually put some out. It's all FUD titles, one after another after another. You get to a point where you're like, oh my God, I think that's really all they really just want to partake in a lot of FUD. There's also going to be some, we're going to talk a little bit about the changes. Actually, this was a duplicate statement here, but when we saw Ripple's statement response, they were actually very positive and very amicable in their response to the SEC. And so I definitely want to review that. I definitely want to talk about that. And if we look over at Fiat Leak, which is really great, we're going to take a look here. Let's see if we can take a look. Oh, you know what? You probably got to share your screen in order to get that going. So let me share the screen there. If we take a look over at Fiat Leak, what do we have going? I should be looking over here, but you know what? I've got the monitor over here. I'm going to move my monitor over here next time so it starts looking like it makes more sense. But if I look over here, we've actually got a lot of movement again. We got about 4.5, 4.6 million trades a minute going on right now of XRP. XRP sitting at a price point of 21 cents. So at 21 cents, I think we have a lot of good stability. Always a little bit of volatility, very little volatility, I should say, within XRP. But unlike the normal, view of Fiat Leak, normally you see the U.S. and you see Korea blowing up. Right now, you're seeing stuff going all over the place. So it looks like we've got some Canada going. We've got a lot going on over in Europe right now, over in Great Britain, a lot in Korea, a lot in Japan. Just tons and tons of activity as people are prepping. These are buys and sells. So for every buy, there's a sell. For every sell, there's a buy. And these are trades. So, if you're selling at 21 cents, there's a lot of people out there buying. If you're selling at 17 cents, there's a lot of people that are out there buying. So just a lot of positives and overall, very optimistic. So let's shout out a few people in here. I also want to start tonight. We're going to go over, I was reading some comments in the space. There were some really great comments that I think are very pertinent to the conversation that we're going to have here. Let me pull this down. I think this is causing some issue with Fiat Leak over here. But I want to go over some comments, some feedback from some viewers. I think they gave some very positive responses, and we kind of want to dig in and we want to look at at these responses as well. So in the meantime, it looks like we got a lot of great people in here already with us. Chip bounced in here first. Don Jackson, welcome, great to see you here. Sir John, Jimmy Douglas, great to have you back on. It's really awesome to see you here. I'm glad that you like the streams. Glad to have you here participating as well. And then with Sir John, I guess there was a big earthquake where he is, and he's saying everything is more peaceful than one of our streams. I guess we get a little crazy in our streams. I don't know. Let's see who else bounced in here. We got Ali Akbar is in here as well. David Gockstein, what's up, David? Man, it's awesome to see you on here. Let's see if we can pop that up there. There you go. David, what's going on, man? It's awesome to see you here. Who let the bulls out? We have, let's see, Barbara Taylor. Great to have you in here as well. Wen Mullet. Let's see. I'm just flowing through here, seeing XRP Welder. What's happening? Oh, man. You know what? I'm checking this out. I'm going through the streams. And you know what?
Come on, man, Berserker.
Man, what's up with that? Where'd that come from? So what's going on? We got Valen. Interesting here too, because Valen says FUD gets clicks like the mainstream media traffics and bad news only. Appreciate that, because that's really spot on. That's exactly to the point. People like FUD. People like FOMO, and that seems to be what drives people to open articles. Sometimes, if you put a little spin on it, I'm not saying it's 100% not the right thing to do if you want people opening up an article. But then when you get into it and the entire article is nothing but FUD, then you start having some issue with that. So let's keep going through here. Wolfpack, what's going on? So Ryan Chandler, all the way in from the UK. And Luna the Alpha. So a lot of new names pop in here and as well. We got King Kenny, Channing. What is going on? So anyhow, just introduced. I spent like 20 minutes doing that. Let's see what else we got going here. All right. Let's see. All right. So here's what I wanted to start off with. Let's see. Let me close this out, and we'll get back into that here in a little bit. Here we go. Okay, I think this one is, see, here we go. Nope. Okay, this one I'm going to pass on. This is the one that we needed to look at. I thought this was a good place to start. Let me see if I can, let me stop sharing. Let me see if I can share my screen on this one. See if this tab will open properly. I think it'll open properly. There we go. Straight to it. So, so this was great. this was from Thomas Munn. Thomas, I don't know if you're on, but this was some feedback from the other evening, from a stream that we did the other evening, and I really thought this one was really spot on. You know, as we read through it, I thought it was worthwhile reading through. You know, interesting. Anyway, so let's see here. So yeah, if making this announcement that the SEC is suing Ripple and causing the asset XRP to plummet in value, what 2/3 of its value and triggering a significant trading suspension in the US, leaving people holding their saggy, baggy sacks of XRP, is what the SEC calls protecting investors. You know, and I look at that and I say, you know what? You know, we look at this idea that the SEC is promoting that they're out to protect the retail investors. But when you take action like they're taking right now against Ripple, sometimes there's going to be a little bit of fallout. And that fallout happens to be all those that have bought into and are holding the digital asset. And yeah, you know, it's crazy because, you know, I look at this feedback. I'm like, man, this is really spot on. Then he goes on here, says, I must applaud them for their creative way of renaming, relabeling, rebranding what would otherwise be considered called a kick in the effing teeth investor protection. Let's give a nice big slow clap for Jay Clayton and the SEC. So yeah, so obviously a little bit bitter here, but you know, to the point is that again, if the SEC's there defending, protecting the retail investor, and all of a sudden you see that your investment, the price point is dropping. But what happens is that there's a lot of uncertainty in the space. So the SEC didn't just come out and say, hey, we're looking to establish some regulatory clarity. Hey, we're trying to figure things out with Ripple and figure out things with XRP. They came out very, very heavy-handed with big statements, you know, claiming that XRP is a security. And, you know, there's some bigger accusations of how Brad Garlinghouse you know, is actually selling or has been selling the digital asset to the point where there might also be some accusation that he's manipulating the price point of the market, you know, by selling X amount. So, you know, I think that that might be a little bit, you know, overkill with what's going on. But again, you know, so here's the SEC supposedly on the side of the retail investor. And then he goes on here. I thought this was just a great comment. It's a little bit long, but, you know, bear with me here. So every freaking time XRP or crypto starts to move, one of these bastards sabotages it and or the digital asset sector in general. Whether or not this action finally provides regulatory clarity for XRP and or crypto as a whole, the way they've gone about this has been extremely irresponsible and destructive. So, you know, as we're seeing this all unfold, you know, this is definitely, you know, we're at a point where, yes, you know, this can be extremely destructive as we're seeing things unfold, at least in the short term. But this is a very, very, you know, legitimate response, you know, and I think we're seeing a lot of response, you know, like this from the community saying, hey, what the heck is going on? You know, you're not just helping here, you're being extremely destructive and detrimental, not just to the investors, but to the space in general. Then he goes on, you can't tell me that this all couldn't have been done in a less volatile manner. Papa, I spit on you, Jake Clayton. So how do I really feel, you asked? Don't get me started, and don't piss on my leg and tell me it's raining. That's just like, you know, I was reading through that. I'm like, man, I've got to share this. I've got to share this this feedback. You know, just great. So here we go. Valen, it's definitely a possibility that the digital yuan, once all the kinks are worked out, would replace the US dollar as a reserve currency. However, that may lead to a hot war between the US and China. Now, this is interesting because I do a lot of research when it comes to China economically, the economics in particular. And, I find it very, very interesting, when we see the things, the behavior coming from the government, but mainly coming from a lot of the companies, the big corporations. So now we can't fool ourselves that, China is just, a cheap manufacturer of goods for other companies. Yes, China has basically duplicated many others' technology. They've taken it for themselves, and then they've generated tons and tons and tons of merchandise. And you'll see that when you go to Amazon now. If you, let's say you're looking for a Logitech camera, so you want to look for a webcam, the first 20 webcams are all Chinese branded webcams that are exact duplicates of the Logitech webcams. So it becomes really interesting to see from that perspective. But that's not the entire economy of China, because there are some serious companies, you can probably count them on one hand in China, some big manufacturers that are leaders in this industry, that are leaders in different markets, DJI being one of them, which is a manufacturer of drones, Alibaba being another one, and it's so amazing, because if you just see the action that they just took against Alibaba and Jack Ma, they basically said, what is his new payment platform? I don't know. Come on, someone throw it out there. Jack Ma has a new payment platform, but the Chinese government basically told him to get back in his place. He wanted to look broader into the market, and they said, get back in your place when it comes to payments. And this is the government basically telling him how to act. And the thing is that this is very it's very typical with other manufacturers. The Ant Group, there we go, Ant Group. So so with the Ant Group, and it's amazing. So if you have the government telling the corporation to get back in their place and mind their P's and Q's, that this is what you're supposed to do, that's kind of a crazy way to live, a crazy way to be. Now, does China have an ulterior motive right now with the digital yuan and some of the other things that they're doing, especially within the Ant Financial? Exactly. So the Ant Group, Ant Financial. But, having this ulterior motive as a general idea of circumventing the US dollar is a reserve currency. We know that China has the Belt and Road Initiative, with regional influence, but they're broadening their horizons. I work with a Chinese company right now, and I can tell you that the way that they behave is outside of the norm of any other big corporation that you work with, in terms of how they manipulate the ebb and flow of the product that they manufacture. And it shouldn't be that way. And they manipulate the ebb and flow of the product in order to benefit their stock. And it's crazy. That's not how things, are meant to be. So Jack Ma's mistake was to criticize the CCP. Exactly. That's exactly spot on. He came out and did that, and he got smacked back down. But now, to the point that we were, referencing before from Valen, yes, there is an initiative right now to displace the US dollar as a reserve currency. And there's a battle right now in the digital currency space. And we actually reflected on this the other night when we were talking about Russia. And we saw that the director from the central bank, came out, and what was his comment? His direct comment was that the digital currencies are going to be replacing SWIFT. So what we're seeing is we're seeing momentum growing and building within the digital currency space that is beginning to push the old guard out. Now, when you're a country like, China, where the politics rule the corporate, you can stop the new guard from replacing the old guard, because you control it, whether it's through military force or otherwise, and that's exactly what Jack Ma's mistake was with the Ant Group, and he got slapped back, and so there's definitely a lot going on, beyond the scope of what's happening with our digital asset space, but all of it is very, very significant because what is Ripple trying to do? Again, Ripple is trying to replace Swift. They're trying to replace the old guard, and man, it doesn't go lightly. The old guard definitely does not go down lightly, and it's not necessarily going to be out there in your face either. Like what we're seeing right now, like over in China. So that's something I think it's very important to look at that. It's very, very significant. Let's see here now. All right, so let's get into this idea of FUD. Now, I find this interesting because one of the big FUD articles that I thought was interesting. Yesterday we did a live stream. We talked a little bit about Coinbase suspending XRP. Now, depending on how much credence you put in or significance you put in Coinbase, what is the actual leverage that Coinbase actually has on the digital asset, on XRP? Because if you go back to 2017, going into 2018, Mr. Clean is a so if you go into into that 2018 period, Coinbase was nowhere to be seen. So there was a lot of conversation. I remember the videos from Jungle Inc., and he had video after video. Coinbase is going to be the catalyst. We got to get on Coinbase. Coinbase is the big deal. And then when we finally got onto Coinbase, when XRP finally got onto Coinbase, then all of a sudden, nothing. It's just like wah 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 wah. It's like, okay, XRP's on Coinbase next. So what? But now, when we go back to that again, it's like, oh, how significant is Coinbase, to the broader market? First and foremost, and we're going to go through the Ripple feedback, the Ripple statement here in a second. And it's going to be interesting because one of the points that they make in their statement is that XRP is in fact traded mostly outside of the US. So how significant is the Coinbase suspension overall? I mean, here right now, if you're in the US market, you can choose Coinbase, you can choose Uphold, you can choose a whole host of other exchanges to buy digital assets on. And so maybe you're not buying on Coinbase. I think overall it's the trend that does become significant. But we also talked about, why did Coinbase decide to move forward and create a scenario where you could do limit orders only? And in fact, I actually had a limit order go through this morning for XRP on Coinbase Pro. So the suspension with Coinbase doesn't actually take place until January 19th. So it's interesting. So for right now on Coinbase, you can still place trades on Coinbase, but they're not market. They're a limit order only. That's okay. But the thing is, Uphold, no feedback at all with Uphold. Coinbase, again, the reason why Coinbase, I think, had to come out and respond right away is because Coinbase is going through an IPO. Now, if you get into an article like this one on Gizmodo over here, you would expect them to maybe mention some of the rationale and reasoning why Coinbase is doing that. So let's see. So here in the art, so the title of the Gizmodo article is Coinbase leaves Ripple to twist in the wind. Now, first and foremost, Coinbase isn't leaving Ripple to do anything because Ripple isn't the digital asset that is being suspended from Coinbase. So Coinbase has no relationship with Ripple. Coinbase has XRP listed, but Coinbase doesn't have Ripple listed. So you would think that you would want to do a little bit of fact finding and realize that this is XRP. It's not Ripple. And Ripple's not twisting in the wind because of Coinbase. So Coinbase announced in a Tuesday blog post that trades of Ripple would be suspended on its platform. I mean, come on. Just do a little bit of research. I mean, this is ridiculous. I don't even know why I pulled this up, other than the fact that I saw this title. I thought the title was a little bit much, a little bit fuddy. And then you get into it. I'm like, at least if you're going to use the FUD art, the title, at least have some facts that are accurate in the first sentence of your article. I mean, come on. I mean, this is ridiculous. I mean, you can't open up your browser and look through Google and try to figure things out. But here you have, so Ripple's rough few days just got worse after the fintech company was the subject of an SEC lawsuit. It's not the subject of a lawsuit. The lawsuit has been filed, but come on, over its flagship XRP token, not its flagship token. Coinbase announced in a Tuesday blog post that trades of Ripple would be suspended. So nothing in the first paragraph is accurate other than the word XRP, the word Ripple, and the word Coinbase. That's it. Those are the only things that are accurate in here. And maybe the SEC lawsuit. And that's it. I mean, come on. It gets to be embarrassingly ridiculous at that point. So then you get in here. Per the blog, Ripple fans can continue trading the token in a limited capacity. What's limited? There's no limited capacity. You can still buy. You just can't buy at market price. You have to put a limit order in. I mean, I guess that's kind of limited. That means you got to go on to Coinbase Pro, or you can go over to Uphold. Come on. So until XRP suspension goes into effect on January 19th. All right. Coinbase noted that this wouldn't hamper its customers' access to their wallet, nor would it keep them from using blah, blah, blah. Okay. So getting the boot, the largest digital currency exchange in the country, is a pretty serious rejection. Well, again, first of all, they didn't get a boot. There's a suspension. Second of all, the suspension starts on January 19th. So the FUD is just so thick. You're going through it from the title and the incorrect logo and image. And then you get into it and you have the first paragraph. And I'm like, oh my God. It's brutal, trying to read through an article like this. And these are people that are going to pass off as a journalist writing, with any kind of integrity. I don't care if it's an online, Gizmodo, blog or website or newsletter or whatever. At least try to get your facts right. I mean, come on. It's so ridiculous. Here it's so there's no rejection, but still get into the fact. Get into the point of why Coinbase is doing it. Talk about the Coinbase IPO. I mean, that's the only thing that's valid, that's rational. The other thing is, if you're going through an IPO, if you're a U.S. exchange and you're trading a non-registered security, then you have an issue also. So talk about that. Get into the points and the reasoning behind it. I mean, come on. OK Coin, I don't know. I've never heard of them until I read the articles, never used them before. Bitstamp was the very first exchange that I used to buy XRP back in 2017. It was a great experience. It was difficult back then. Two mid-sized currency exchanges that didn't cut ties. There's no cutting ties, and there's no aftermath. There's no aftermath. I mean, has this person been living under a rock for the past week and not reading anything? I mean, you have a suit that's filed. There's no aftermath of the suit. The response from the defendant is within 20 days. So we're talking about 15, 16, 17, somewhere in that timeline. Ripple is going to respond to the suit by the SEC. They came out with a statement. All you have to do is read their statement and you can have some feedback. Try to figure out what's going on with Coinbase. You can have some feedback. I mean, it's so absurd. It's just ridiculous, how insane some of these articles are. And this is so commonplace. I mean, it's just amazing, how commonplace, these ridiculous types of articles are. So I'm sorry, I've kind of been ignoring you guys over here, but I got to go through this. This just got me so riled up, with the FUD. Again, I don't mind a little bit of good FUD in a title. And I thought that title was kind of cool. Coinbase leaves Ripple to twist in the wind. All right, but let's get into it and then start talking about some fact. No, nothing. Nothing here. I mean, the whole thing, this whole little statement here is devalued. And anybody reading it that doesn't know what's going on is going to be like, oh my God, there was a lawsuit and there's an aftermath of a lawsuit and Ripple is, and XRP and Coinbase and all this stuff and the rejections. Oh my God, it's so horrible. You know, XRP's value on Coinbase's site has been in a free fall over the past week. Okay, the only thing they've gotten right so far, shedding more than half of the valuation. How about looking 3 weeks ago and the fact that XRP was valued at 24 cents about 3 weeks ago? Oh, look, it's 21 cents right now. How about that? You know, I mean, come on. You know, yes, it shed half the valuation that it gained over the past 3 weeks. That's great. For those that need a refresher, a refresher based on somebody that doesn't even know how to present facts in an article or a post. You know, I can't even. I mean, can you imagine we go through the rest of this? Such garbage. You know, even at least get the facts right so we can read through it. Holy crap. Unbelievable. Anyhow, sorry, that one just got me fired up. I'm reading that and I'm like, this is just insane. So let's see. Going back up here. I'm not, oh, look how cool that looks. Holy cow, is that amazing? That's the coolest thing ever. I'm not 100% sure, but I think it's magic. XRP. We need to preface that. XRP. I'm not 100% sure, but I think, oh my God, look at this. Chip. Look at this. Crypto Bird Dog. Holy cow. We haven't seen Crypto Bird Dog in I don't know how long. It's been ages. Man, oh man, it's been a long time. Been a long time. So let's see here. Jimmy. XRP Ripple will be the first in the forefront of winning. Imagine the mainstream attention SEC loses to crypto company Ripple. You know, Chip and I were digging into this a little bit today. We were talking, and you know, I think we're going to get into it more tomorrow night. But you know, one of the things that came out of of our conversation today is that in all likelihood, the SEC and Ripple will probably will end up settling, you know, and I think they both, because both of them need to walk away at the end of the day with a win. There's going to be a win and a loss. The loss, in my opinion, and we'll see how this goes. I think no matter what the outcome, Ripple's going to end up paying a penalty of some sort. There's going to be a multi-million-dollar penalty paid. The SEC is going to make some whatever. And then I think we're gonna, you know, it's gonna all feed into some regulation, etc. So I think, you know, there's definitely going to be something from that, you know. But can you imagine either way, Jimmy? I think it's really, really significant, and I think that's a very, very you know, poignant point that you brought up, you know, because really this will be, you know, the SEC settling with a major crypto company. And one of the and especially as it relates to one of the top 5 digital assets, I think that XRP has now been flippened by Litecoin. I think Litecoin is now, as far as market cap, is now has now replaced XRP. I believe we'd have to look it up again. So let's see here. We got what is this? If we need some org, you're right. How awesome would that be? You start preaching and you got that'd be pretty sweet. we need to get some there we go. See that? XRP. I'm not 100% sure, but I think it's magic. We're designing that for a shirt. How cool is that going to be? We're working on a merch store with some cool things like this. But we got to give credit where credit's due to, I think that came from Tony Fisk. I think that was Tony Fisk. So, nope, it flipped back. There we go. Litecoin and XRP flippening. The flippening. So, all right, what's the next thing here? What's coming up next? Let's see. All right, the next, we're going to go through some FUD because, you know, FUD is kind of cool sometimes to look at. I want to look at the Investopedia, because this one, where'd it go? There we go. And I like this one. XRP, can you guys see that? There it is. I just blew it up. There it is. XRP loses support as SEC files case against Ripple. I mean, that's a pretty decent headline right there. It's a pretty good title because the XRP did lose some support. It did fall off, and it was pretty much a direct result of the SEC filing the case against Ripple. And here, Ripple could be the biggest catch in the SEC's quest to clean the crypto ecosystem. That's pretty hard hitting right there, man. That seems really daunting. They get in here that they unveiled their complaint against Ripple, charging the company with unlawful issuance of securities in the form of sales for XRP, its cryptocurrency. Again, it's cryptocurrency. Now, if you really want to get the facts right, XRP was actually gifted to Ripple. And you start really digging into that. I mean, it becomes semantics, I guess, at that point, because you have some of the same people that are involved in Ripple that were on the development team of the XRP Ledger and of the XRP and, David Schwartz and, some of the others. But overall, it's not, XRP does not belong to Ripple. Ripple does have about 55 billion XRP, plus or minus, probably more on the minus side because they've used some, sitting in escrow. And it actually turns out, and there's a comment that I was going to get into on this, but David Schwartz, about maybe 3 weeks or so ago, came out and said, in fact, the 55 billion the 55 billion XRP that's sitting in escrow can actually be burned if it's voted on by the validators. You need a super majority of the validators, which is 80% of the validators need to vote on it, and then they can basically burn all of that XRP sitting in escrow. And it might be very likely that we actually see that happen. I mean, that could be pretty amazing. So, you know what? I love when, when people come in and they think they're so smart and they, put up some ridiculous comments. So, you got to love it. You got to love it. So, all right, look at that. Doc Column. You think they'll make them surrender the escrow? But, I really, I'm not a real big fan of the idea that somehow the IMF is going to be in control of any type of monetary flow as it comes to reserve currency or anything like that. The IMF is heavily funded right now by the U.S. Overall, and it just seems like, it puts us kind of in a difficult position, where the IMF would then be somehow in control of the escrow. I'd much rather see the escrow burned by the validators and say, hey, you know what? And that might be, a very likely outcome if they, find out to say, hey, because then that means that Ripple really has no stake at that point, And maybe that's one of the bigger concerns, and that could definitely be the outcome, is that they actually have to surrender the escrow to the burning of the validators, which will deplete 50% of the XRP supply. I don't even know if that's possible, but I think that would be really interesting. However we want to look at that, but something's going to happen. Definitely something's going to happen with that, because right now, based on the escrow is also controlled by the validators. They dictate the term of the escrow. So let me see. Here's some feedback from Adrian. The escrow will be broken up. Chris and Brad will maybe be I don't think they'll be given anything, because again, the escrow doesn't belong to them. It doesn't belong to Chris or Brad. So at that point, the escrow could potentially be burned. So that could definitely change a lot of things. So Jason, XRP reminds me of US fiat can create and destroy it whenever they want. The Federal Reserve only wants the power. XRP cannot be created any longer. There was one minting of XRP, and then that's it. The destruction or the burning of the XRP can't be done whenever they want either. It can only be done by the validators. And in order for that to happen, you need a super majority vote of the validators, which is 80% of the validators. And right now, to get 80%, I mean, that would be, a big deal. But Chip and I were talking earlier about that. And actually, in fact, we did see some votes go through and the Ripple validators were on the opposite side of the vote, and the vote passed. We'll have to pull that up tomorrow night and maybe get into that a little bit. But that's something that happens because it's now decentralized. The validators are not controlled by Ripple. So, all right, where were we? Oh, we're on this article. Okay, this one. It just kind of got into it. The SEC complaint. We've kind of dug into this already a lot. But let's see what Investopedia actually has to say about their complaint. It says here, defendants continue to hold substantial amounts of XRP and with no registration statement in effect, can continue to monetize their XRP while using the information asymmetry they created in the market for their own gain, creating substantial risk to investors. That's what the complaint states. Overall, Ripple raised $1.3 billion from investors and traders in cryptocurrency markets without submitting the proper documentation required for such sales. That's the claim by the SEC. So obviously, I mean, there's a ton that goes on, and it's amazing too as you dig through this Investopedia article. They really kind of get into some really important things. So let me shoot over here and want to give a quick shout out here. So Buddy Boyo Radio, appreciate the support. That's really awesome. So how is XRP not a security if its utilities use relies on the success of Ripple's banking products? If the banks don't adopt RippleNet, value drops. And I think that's, there's a couple points to that. One is and I think you got to focus in on the fact that even with all the positive news with XRP or with Ripple, as they've rolled out, like with MoneyGram and with anything else that they've done, any initiative, any updates that they've rolled out, even, the Flare announcement, even the Flare drop. I mean, the Flare drop was probably with the Spark token was probably the one little thing where you saw a little bit of a bump. But everything else, when there's news coming out of Ripple, the XRP price point never changed. So to make an assumption that if they don't adopt it, the value drops, as we're seeing some progress in the space, the value hasn't budged. So that's number one, just to look at, based on the statement that you're making. But beyond that, if you look at the overall, the XRP digital asset being separate from Ripple, the company, there's no distinction of direct correlation. When you're buying the digital asset XRP, that you're not buying a share in the company Ripple, and you're not benefiting in their profit and loss. As the company grows or shrinks in size, you're not benefiting or losing your valuation based on that. So if they made $1 billion in 2020, the digital asset XRP valuation isn't changing because they made $1 billion. The use case of XRP with the XRP ledger, supersedes, anything that Ripple is doing. Is Ripple right now the biggest user and builder on the XRP ledger. I mean, they are, but at the same time, we're seeing a lot of, we're seeing a lot more utility being built in the space. I mean, you look at, let's say if you look at Ethereum as they originally, started out, and I believe the SEC even made a statement on this when they declared that ETH was not a security, but they said in the beginning stages, when they were launching Ethereum and raising funds with Ethereum, it could very well have been a security in the beginning for the Ethereum Foundation. So I think, as we navigate that, there's a, I think that that's very, very significant. So let's see here. Okay. Let's see. Okay. Here we go. XRP is an option on RippleNet and not required. That's another good point. Exactly. So RippleNet works with or without XRP. RippleNet works with or without the ODL. The ODL, the on-demand liquidity, is really the game-changing solution within the RippleNet solution in its entirety. So if you look at RippleNet in its early stage was really just a direct replacement for Swift, just a more modern version of the messaging system with better transparency and better processes. Then you add in the ODL, the on-demand liquidity, utilizing the XRP ledger, utilizing XRP built in, allows for instant settlement, where that's where you have the 4-second plus or minus settlement, where full transparency, obviously a lot of great functionality, allowing the big institutions to then not have to rely on their Nostro, Vostro accounts. I mean, that's a really big deal. It really is. So, all right, let's see. Okay, here we go. There we go. All right, it's a good one here. VetPro. Let's not forget how much Japan and Korea controlled the markets back in 17, and they still do. If you look at the Fiat Leak, if you look at the majority of the news, you had the CEO of SBI the other day came out, and I thought, he's very, very clear. We went over that on the live stream yesterday, but very, very clear that they've already declared that XRP is not a security, and it's being utilized, within the space. And SBI is one of the biggest adopters, of the solution. So let's see here: mathematical, physical, chemical, biological. Greetings aside from the price, tanking, it hasn't changed the utility and functionality of XRP and what it is designed for, right? It really hasn't. I mean, the overall, idea behind it, is 100%, for, seamless movement of money, cross borders. So I think if we stick to the principle of, of what the ODL or what the XRP ledger's significance is, which is really focused in on an XRP, really, I would say the entire construct is geared up for big financial institutions, which is where we kind of saw a breakaway. We saw a split when the Stellar organization spun off, and we saw Stellar come up. And with Stellar, we have XLM, and really the primary focus there was a division of thought process where you have XRP Ledger, Ripple. The entire initiative was going towards banking, replacing Swift, and everything in that direction, big financial institutions. And then we spin off and we go over to Stellar and XLM, which is focused on the retail space, smaller micro payments, etc. So let's see. Augusto, this SEC versus XRP is like the super fight of the UFC. Yeah, it is. It's like it's the big one because again, someone else had mentioned, and I think that was Jimmy, brought that one up. That here you are, you're bringing in, you're bringing in the big guys. This is Ripple. You can't go after Bitcoin. How is the SEC going to go after Bitcoin? Can't go after Ethereum. They went after Kick, and everyone's like, oh, who cares? But they went after Kick, and they settled with Kick. Kick is still around, and their digital asset is still around. They paid a $5 million penalty, and Kick is based out of Canada. But still, they're like, whatever, nobody cared about it. But now you bring Ripple and you bake in XRP into this lawsuit. Man, I mean, talk about getting some headline attention. I wonder, Mr. Was that Mr. Caleb? XRP plays a role in this lawsuit. He does get paid in XRP and now selling it. Yeah, I find it, and this was brought up also. We talked a little bit about this with the selling of the digital asset, whether it's the founders or employees or whatever. I mean, you don't have to look too far. Go to Apple, go to Amazon, go to Google. Go to any of these. Go to any of these big companies, and you're always going to see stock, or you're always going to see them selling shares of stock. I mean, and that's with the big corporations, and nobody really reflects too heavily on that. We're definitely hyper focused on what they're doing over here. So, all right, let's see what else. Oh, Channing, this is looking like one of the greatest shakeouts in financial history. Bitcom possibly may be affected. Steve Mnuchin and Lagarde not big fans of its eco issues. I'm sure there's definitely something to do with that. And that's one area where it kind of lost me. When Brad Garlinghouse and David Schwartz started to coming out and talking about the eco-friendliness or the greenness of XRP, versus Bitcoin. I'm like, what? This is a financial conversation. Let's leave the whole, greenness out of it, unless you're talking about greenbacks. Other than that, let's keep that whole conversation out. So that's Ripple has been aligned with governments worldwide on multiple levels. XRP still legit with governance globally, and I think overall, that's definitely, a big point. Without a doubt, a big point. Mainly because, and we've talked about this, we've brought this up before, as it pertains to, Ripple lobbying in DC. Again, one of the primary architects of the Token Taxonomy Act that worked for Warren Davidson, Congressman Warren Davidson, moved from Congressman Davidson's office and got hired by Ripple to continue lobbying and educating the congressional representatives and others in Washington. So to say that Ripple hasn't been engaged and involved and very transparent in their business, is kind of crazy. But yes, they've been very, very engaged at many different levels, not just in the US, but all over the world. And I think that without a doubt, that becomes really important. So, all right, let's go to, all right, I still want to get into the statement that came directly from Team Ripple. I think that's important to go through that. There was something else that I wanted to bring up where this is something I'm going to go over this one on a separate video. I think it's really more of a separate video. This one I'm still researching. This one I had already kind of responded to this, but I think, let me pull this one up. I already answered this one, but anyhow. So this came from Asim6998. The question was, what will happen to the escrow? Will the SEC get them to relinquish it? And I think that that is really, again, what can happen. Obviously, there can be direct penalty. There's a lot that could happen. One of the things that I would definitely look at, within this, would be going back to the validators. Can the validators then vote to burn? Can they vote to actually burn every single last XRP that's sitting in escrow? They can do it. Per David Schwartz, that's something they can do with a super majority, which is 80% of the validators. We brought that up before. I think it's interesting. So it is valid to think, hey, what can happen with that escrow? Again, the escrow doesn't really belong to Ripple at this point. It was gifted to them, but still controlled by the validators, which I think also, by them making that statement not that long ago, definitely fed into this case. So Ripple has known for a while that the SEC is coming, is getting ready to file a case. The SEC's been building their case, for not weeks, not months, most likely a couple years. They've really been building and growing into this direction. So, and I guess we're going to see what happens. A lot of ideas of the direction it can move in. So here the escrow goes to the Federal Reserve, possibility. Here, the U.S. Treasury wants that escrow possibility. Maybe it's a way to move it over there. All this stuff is going to unfold. It's going to happen in a very short period of time. Here we go. Tommy Sotomayor's mama here. The first court hearing is February 22nd. Yeah, so that's right around the corner. So February 22nd. I mean, so we're going to get these answers very, very quickly. Now we're also going to see a response coming from Ripple in short order. So, all right, let's see. Let's go back up here. All right. Okay, here we go. So let's go over this. Let me pull this one up. I want to look at this statement. Let's look at how Ripple, is responding, because this is just a very brief statement on, on what we're getting ready to see here in a few weeks from them. So let's see. All right. So their statement, our statement on recent market participant activity. So first and foremost, this was from yesterday. The public and press have only heard the story from the SEC's side. That's all we've seen so far. Then we've seen a lot of articles spinning and incorrect. We looked at that Gizmodo article, which was absurd. But we'll be filing our response in a few weeks to address these unproven allegations against Ripple. So obviously they got to stand by their guns, and this will be filed in short order. The SEC's decision to file this action is not just about Ripple. It's an attack on the entire crypto industry here in the United States. Now, it's interesting because, why is he saying it's an attack on the entire crypto industry? It was just maybe about 3 weeks ago that we saw Brad Garlinghouse coming out and basically saying, he's basically saying that, if you don't get your act together, Ripple is looking for a home base outside of the U.S. Now, I look at where they're at. They're in San Francisco. I don't think their home base should have been in San Francisco to begin with. They could have picked a different part of the U.S. to put their home base in. But regardless, that's not the point. Is that, these guys are actually, making big statement that with the lack of regulatory clarity in the U.S., it's been very, very detrimental to companies that are building in the U.S., not knowing what could potentially happen. What can happen to the company? What can happen to the digital asset? Too many unknown variables. So from that perspective, they say, you know what, we're looking for a new home office. So Ripple says maybe we're going to move to Singapore. Maybe we'll move the home office to the UK. Maybe it's over to Japan. Maybe it's Dubai. Maybe it's Moscow. Yeah, I don't know. They're looking all over the place. And then just a few short weeks later, all of a sudden, we're starting to see a little bit of momentum with the case. I don't think one had to do with the other. However, the point, with the timing of it, maybe, but the point here is that this filing is extremely, detrimental. Well, the filing at the end of the day, it could have a net positive. The way they're going about it and the viciousness that they're going about it. And this was it, the Investopedia article? It looks like they're just trying to clean house. The SEC wants to clean house, but the SEC also wants to clean house before they push towards regulatory clarity. You need to get all these things. You need to get your house in order. So here, though, as you go against Ripple, all the other companies are like, whoa, wait a minute. If we analyze Ripple and look at it and say, well, Ripple is doing XYZ, they're utilizing XRP. XRP is not a security based on the Howey test and other definition. And there's been multiple people, even FinCEN, not a security. Was it what's his name? Giancarlo, not a security. There's been many in the U.S. that have already claimed that XRP is not a security. We know, obviously, outside of the U.S., Japan, UK, and others have already deemed it not a security. So here goes this argument, but all eyes are and all hands are on deck right now, watching what's happening with XRP, watching what could potentially happen to Ripple. And so if you're getting ready to build in this space, you're like, well, wait a minute. If I'm going to build in a space in the US, something like this can happen to me. Forget that. I'm going to go to Singapore. I'm going to go to Bermuda. I'm going to go over to the Marshall Islands where they're using a digital asset right now. I want to go to there was a country, I think in Africa, that's going 100% over to BSV. So there's a lot of progress being made in a lot of other countries. Some are sandboxing it in real time. But that being said, there's many more crypto-friendly countries, and that's the point. And so, so this case it's more than just Ripple, and it does, and it will reverberate. It will ripple, to the other digital assets and other companies. So he goes on. He says, we've always said there is a dangerous lack of regulatory clarity for crypto in the U.S. Their lawsuit has already affected countless innocent retail XRP retail holders with no connection to Ripple. And I'm glad that he brought that up because this is so true. Right now we're looking at Ripple on the Fiat Leak over here, and per Fiat Leak, it's sitting at 19 cents. So many, have been harmed because due to the case where many would otherwise have held and said, hey, I'm in it, but now they're looking at it and say, whoa, if I hold, maybe XRP goes down close to zero. Maybe it's down to a penny. Maybe it goes back to 0.006. Maybe, so, people are very terrified and they're bailing, they're selling, but for every sell, there's a buyer, because if there wasn't a buyer, there would be no trades. So there's a lot of people that are very confident. Now, if you look at any digital asset, like you could pull a Dogecoin. If Dogecoin, which was built as a joke to begin with, has a ridiculous following and is still trading today. And I think its last was it's like 0.0044, and it's up from like 0.0018, somewhere in there. Dogecoin is trading. So XRP has much more use case outside of what we're looking at. So how can they connect XRP and say, well, XRP is the security? Well, maybe, Ripple was selling it, if they build that case, and maybe their sale of the XRP, could be deemed that they were somehow selling it as though it was a security. But XRP is a standalone digital asset in the space that is no longer controlled in any way, shape, or form by Ripple, based on the fact that the majority of the validators are held outside of Ripple by other entities. So XRP at this point is decentralized and decentralized away from Ripple. They have no centralized control over it. And as I had mentioned, the validators can vote based on a supermajority, can vote to burn the escrow that's being held by Ripple. So that fact alone, puts it apart from Ripple. Ripple has they don't have total control of the digital asset that they're holding. So I think that's very interesting to look at it from that perspective. So they go on here. It also needlessly muddled the waters for exchanges and market makers and traders. The SEC has introduced more uncertainty into the market, actively harming the community they're supposed to protect. It's no surprise that some market participants are reacting conservatively as a result. I don't know if that's the right terminology though, but market participants are getting a little bit, nervous in what they're doing. So, so you have all this. This is what has occurred due to the case. The SEC is causing more uncertainty without maybe thinking it all the way through in terms of how they were presenting it. So obviously Ripple is coming out and they have to come out strong because they're fighting the case and they have to present their case. So they're going to take this track. I just think it's interesting and also important, to see the statement that's being made regardless, because this is all going to play out and we're going to see it play out. It's going to play out over the next weeks. See the case on the 22nd of February and possible settlement. I mean, that's the direction that it's going in. No matter what, however you think, don't think, talk about it, whatever, stuff is set in motion and it's going to happen. And now it's going to happen in a short period of time. We're all here gathered to talk about it, try to get a good understanding of it. I believe anything that you invest in, you should have a decent understanding of the company that you're investing in, at least, some rudimentary understanding of it. In the digital asset space, it becomes even a little bit more important, especially in the early stages, to understand the project that you're investing in. Is it a longer term, project that is going to, potentially grow and have some meaningful development over a period of time, or not? I mean, it's but here you look at what Ripple could potentially do. You look at what the XRP Ledger, what XRP in general can do, for many other projects. Right now, again, Ripple is the primary user of it. However, you're starting to see there's some projects that are using XRP over in Australia, moving money. So, all right, let's see what else. I like this, how he kind of, ends it. On a parallel note, we also look forward to working with all the commissioners and the SEC's new leadership once appointed. Obviously, we have a new director of the SEC. I think his name is Elad Roizen, taking over. So, and he supposedly knows a lot more about digital asset than Jay Clayton. So on a parallel note, we also look forward to working with the commissioners and all the SEC chairs, 6 of the directors from each SEC division. The SEC's chief economist and the SEC's general counsel have now departed, and they just kind of go in. But, they've been working with all of them. They've been meeting with all of them. We've seen how they've been very instrumental in this process. So it's as this unfolds, a lot of this is very important to the overall development of the community, of the cryptocurrency market in general in the US. Because the one point that they make, which is very valid, and I've been making it, I don't know, ever since I've been streaming, is that the digital asset space is not unique to the US. The digital asset space that's growing is global. It's the one time in history with this asset class, this new asset class, that's giving people anywhere in the world an opportunity to succeed outside of the pressures and control mechanisms of the governments that basically dictate the ebb and flow of the financials of the countries they live in. So whether you're living in, in a developing country in Africa, in South America, in parts of Asia, you have an opportunity to invest in something and to build towards something. And that to me is amazing. And we're seeing it happen. We're seeing how blockchain can become very, very instrumental in tracking logistics and tracking, food stuff, product, agriculture, tracking the coffee industry, being able to see and distribute micropayments from the beginning stages of where coffee beans are growing. Many coffee beans are grown by small regional agricultural, I don't even know, if it's a really, a company. I mean, they're like family farms that are growing the coffee beans, and you get enough of them in a region, and then you have the big buyers that go in there buying the coffee beans. But maybe the people on the ground at the lower levels in these farms, maybe they're not getting the full benefit of full participation in the global economy or even in the regional economy, mainly because they live day to day on fiat currency. So this conversation that we're looking at, way up here, trying to figure out how is, our investment in the digital asset going to benefit us directly because we're investing in it. How about if we think about how the digital asset space at large, digital asset space, blockchain space, how is that going to benefit many people all over the world? And even in the United States, how does it benefit people in the United States that are also building and growing? I mean, there's a lot. I mean, it's great. It's really amazing. But that's the point, is that what the SEC is doing, they're not really thinking outside of any of that either. They're just looking very narrowly focused, at least Jay Clayton, focused, just very, very narrowly in what they're doing, by presenting this case. So let's see. Yeah, we're definitely going to have to add a few more mods. We got to go through that. I think Chip left, but yeah, that would be great if we could. I know we have a number of great mods in here. We will be adding some more mods, especially as the chats grow. Today we have 200 plus in the stream. Last night we had around 1,000, but when we get up to a certain number, it's very hard, to manage some of the feedback and comments that come in. Then it's good, to get rid of them. So, yeah, it'd be great. So I will, we'll definitely look through here tomorrow night when Chip and I are streaming together. I'll have a chance to go through and add some additional mods. So you guys show up tomorrow night at 8 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. We'll be streaming our XRP FOMO session. We'll definitely get into it a lot more and really dig in, a little bit deeper, with everything. So I really appreciate that, Legendary. Yeah. So if you can come in tomorrow, I can't do it from the platform that I'm working on, so I'm gonna have to do it through YouTube to do that. So that'd be awesome if you guys come back in tomorrow. Appreciate the mods that have definitely been helping out here tonight. Definitely appreciate you guys. This goes back to what I was saying before about Michael. We'll soon see how funny Dogecoin is when the SEC gets a hold of it. That's true. So, oh, here we go. Let me just read up. Let me read this one here. XRP isn't meant for the retail space. It's meant for institutions. It'll replace the SWIFT system used to send wires abroad. The banks want us little guys out so they can grab all the bags. And I talked about that definitely yesterday. I was going through that. I still got this thing up here. I was definitely going through that. What is the actual motivation in this space as you look at Ripple, as you look at XRP, what is it really meant for? And it really is, from a technology perspective, the XRP ledger, what they built is a phenomenal solution, for the institutions, and they know it. The banks know it. They know it's an amazing solution. They know that right now, in order to move money across borders, your only solution is SWIFT and a settlement provider, and that whole process can take 5 to 7 days. If you've ever gone through that process, sometimes it's brutal. Sometimes it works well, other times it doesn't. Then you also have the trust factor involved. So when you're going through the SWIFT and you're moving the money and there's an error and then it kicks back and then you don't know and then you're not notified, until maybe 5 days later, then you go then you have to go another week out. Sometimes it could take 2 weeks to move money. I experienced that here, locally. I had somebody wiring money and you don't know, it's supposed to be, you do a bank wire, it should be done within 4 hours. But if you do it at the end of the day, sometimes it doesn't process and settle until the next day. So it processes and settles the next day. There's an error. Nobody knows. And then, there's no real transparency other than in a bank wire environment, processed. And on the receiving end, it can say processing. When you're doing the SWIFT transaction, you use your SWIFT code, it sends, you don't know nothing. That's it. You have no idea if the money's actually moving. And then it's like I said, 3 to 5 days. You're waiting. Hey, I haven't got it. You get it yet? Nope, I didn't get it. You get it yet? Nope, I didn't get it yet. And that's the process of moving money right now. So everybody knows it's broken. Everybody knows it doesn't work. And if you read into wow, look at that, the Fiat leak. This is crazy. Hang on, let me see if I can pull this up before it changes. It just looks cool. Look at that. 20. Just 20 flat. Oh, there we go. 20 with a 3 on it. That was kind of cool. So, there's just so much, so technologically speaking, again, the XRP ledger, RippleNet is really amazing. What they're working on. All the banks know it. They all understand that. This is why, JP Morgan created the JPM coin. They wanted something inner, between their own clientele, if you're in their network. So, that's the whole idea. Anyhow, all right. Hey, I covered a ton here. You guys are awesome. It's always great to see, everybody joining us, the conversation. Tons of great conversation that's been flowing through here. Sometimes you get the jackasses that come in as well, but that's okay. That's all part of it. So definitely appreciate you guys. Check us out tomorrow. I think Chip is going to be streaming tomorrow around noon, I believe, noon or 1 o'clock. There's still a lot. He's still going through the lawsuit that was presented by the SEC. I think he made it to like page 30. He's still digging through it. A lot more information to dig into. And then tomorrow evening at 8 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, we'll be back here, Chip and I, with a great stream. So again, appreciate all you guys. Looking forward to seeing all of you back on tomorrow. And we will check you out at that time. I'm out.
Are you down with OTC? Please like, subscribe, and click the bell to be notified when the next video drops.